everyone, welcome back to TinaTeach IELTS Grammar. Once again, we have indefinite article A and N, more A and N with nouns, okay? So first off, let's see what we have for this lesson. We have expressions of quantity and then with certain numbers, okay? So first off, with expressions of quantity, you can put A in front of, for example, a lot of, a great deal of, a couple, a great many, and a dozen. A dozen means 12. Okay? When you hear dozen, oh, that's 12. One more time, you can put a in front of expressions of quantity such as a lot of, a great deal of, a couple, a great many, a dozen. You can do the same with a few, a plenty of. And next up to certain numbers. So we're getting into, 100, 1,000. Now, you can put a before half if half follows a whole number. For example, 1.5 kilos. 1.5 kilos. So half is following a whole number, a kilo. A kilo and a half. Okay? A kilo and a half, except for half a kilo. Half a pie, half an apple, half a dozen. All right, so those are examples, and it's just not limited to these alone. Now, you don't put a before half in this instant because it's just, half a dozen, half an apple, half a kilo, half a meter. But if you're going to put a number before half, like 1 or 2 or 3, like 3.5 meter, then you put a in front of half. All right? Now, sometimes it is possible to go a half holiday and a half share. Now, this may seem a little bit difficult for those of you that are not used to, using a with stuff like this. But don't worry, the more you practice, the better you will be. Like myself personally, when I first encountered this, I was also a bit confused. But the more you talk to people and the more you hear them, this is simply very natural. Okay? You don't say 1.5 holiday. No one says that. So naturally, you also don't say it. You say a half holiday or a half share instead. Now, next up is usual, as in this is how you usually say it. A third, a quarter, a fifth, a ninth, a half. Okay? So now let's recount. If there are expressions of quantity, you put a in front. A lot of, a few, a great, a plenty, a couple, a dozen. These are not numbers, okay? They are just expressions of a general quantity. But when it comes to certain numbers, 100, 1,000, you also put it in front, okay? You also put a in front of 100, 1,000, the same with expressions of quantity. Now, when you get into, the half, it gets a little bit more difficult. If there's a number before half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, you know what I mean, okay? Now, if there's only half, if you're just saying half a kilo, half an apple, half a peach, there's no need for an a in front of the half. Sometimes it is possible to say stuff like a half holiday, a half share, but that is just for certain terms. And usually you would say a third, a quarter, a fifth, a half. Okay? Let's move on to expressions of price, speed, ratio, and a little bit more. This time, a and un is in replacement of per. $1 a meter. It means that for every meter, there is $1. And this is the same as saying $1 per meter. Okay? 60 kilometers an hour. 60 kilometers per hour. 4 times a day. 4 times per day. Same thing. Next up, with exclamations before singular countable nouns. We have the singular form of this. Such a long queue. What a pretty girl. Naturally, when you use the plural form of these phrases, you exclude a and un completely. Such long queues. What pretty girls. Alright? Now, with Mr., Mrs., Miss, and then surname, when you put a in front of Mr., Mrs., or Miss, it implies that you don't know this person. This person is a stranger to you. But if you get rid of the a, Mrs. Smith, Miss Smith, Mr. Smith, it means that you do know that person. You've met them before, maybe you've talked to them before, okay? Now, let's go through it one more time. Expressions of price and speed. A and un is the same as per. So, $1 a meter, $1 per meter. With exclamations before singular and countable noun, such a long queue. What a pretty girl. But with the plural form, such long queues. What pretty girls. Now, with Mr., Mrs., and Miss plus surname, if you add an a before any of these three, it means you don't know that person. They are a stranger. But if you get rid of the a and you just say Mr. Smith, you know them. You've met them before. Okay? So thank you for watching until the end. I do hope that you learned something new today and what I've explained is quite clear to you. Now, our next topic is going to be omission of an, the complete opposite of what we've learned so far, when to not use a and un. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember to comment what you've learned and learn today, better tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.